Hello, everyone. My name's Yutta Jazz, and today I'm going to play into this Spooktober vibes, and I'm going to talk about ghosts. I actually have a lot of weird knowledge, or am at least trying to research a lot of weird knowledge when it comes to, I don't know, just weird, fucking creepy shit. For some reason, I've always been interested in it since I was young, but I'm also not one to stomach it easily. Like I get scared of it. Mind you, these days I'm more, I don't know, accepting and okay with it than I have been because I've had so many experiences myself. It's kind of just normal. I mean, in general, like since I've moved to this place, yeah, just paranormal stuff has been normal. It's not ghost haunting stuff, though. It's more like, I guess you could say, to some extent, just audio experiences, or even visual ones, actually, because of my guides, slash, because of my energy at points, very rarely. But I think you could say like a couple, well, not even a couple, a few times it's been my energy. Like let's say I release something or I shift my energy to something of more light and positive and relaxed, and the whole house creaks because there's a difference in pressure in the home out of nowhere or something like that. So yeah, if it's me, then that's really the only way I hear some weird creaking or cracking or other stuff. But otherwise, I've heard scratches when I've done readings. I've heard thumping and bumping. I've heard a little bit, I guess, of like speaking and mumbling in yesterday's reading that I released. And the weirdest so far has been like me falling asleep and then hearing weird random shit I can't explain. Like it's noises that actually I cannot explain in terms of anything. Like I don't know what that sound actually is. And I have differentiated really weird noises in comparison to other people when you hear something from way far away and maybe there's duplicates of that noise, right? And it sounds completely different. An example I have is either I guess ducks, geese, too, maybe? I don't know. But like a flock of ducks coming in from way far away does not sound like a flock of ducks. I don't know if it's a flock or not. I don't know. Just ducks like coming from a long distance. If you hear a shit ton of them and they're just going crazy, it sounds way weird. It does not sound like animals in the sky. It sounds like some other shit, but I can usually like figure out what is what if I start looking at it as a real thing, like as a real life thing, as a physical manifestation of something tangible, right? But I've heard noises as I've been falling asleep that I cannot at all explain. I have no idea what that would make or do. At points, yeah, it's just a mystery to me. I can compare it to some things, but yet again, it doesn't actually sound like those things that I'm comparing it to. It just has the characteristics or qualities of like I guess a likeness to it. So I'm not going to talk to things that are actually personally manifested through whatever experiences of that. I'm going to talk specifically to ghosts. And yeah, I haven't really eh, I've seen ghosts with my intuitive senses, but not really many, thank fuck. I don't really necessarily want to experience them. Um, that being said, I did live with apparently a dead baby spirit for a better part of like a year, just over a year, and everyone has had nightmares in that room. I didn't really have nightmares for most of the time that I slept there, if at all. Maybe I've had like a couple of stress ones, but then one dream before I left that room for good. Like I just started sleeping in a different room altogether after that. This was getting also close to the point that we were moving out of that house. I actually did have the notorious nightmare that you would have there if you were a guest sleeping in that house, and that was an experience recorded for like 15 years. of people going there, and it like every single time someone would sleep there, they would have dreams of like gruesome, gory butcherings and just mutate like not mutations, mutilations. There we go. That's the word I was looking for, and I was wondering why I don't have it. Now I know because I was very protected. Besides, I probably spoke to that spirit in a kind way of like, "Hey, I just want to sleep. I don't want no problems." Maybe I was leaving it out some cookies and milk in the astral as well, being like, "Yo, you can have this. Let's not have problems, okay, kiddo?" 'Cause yeah, it was reoccurring for everyone. Eventually I had one, but that was like literally the last day I was spending there or last night, and apparently it is due to a newborn dying there. And that was like a big traumatic deal, although it was more common or normal back in the day for that to happen because it was like an old miners building in North England. And yeah, it was all right for that to happen there. Like after moving out of England, I learned that where I was living, which was Merseyside, has a lot of creepy shit happening in it, and I did not really experience any of it. Even when I was in Liverpool, where I kind of wanted to experience something, I feel like in my subconscious, without even knowing all of the weird shit that was actually a part of the narrative there, I really wanted to experience something there. I don't know necessarily why. I guess like by that time I was intrigued in experiences but kept away from them for good reason. I appreciate that now, like looking back. But yeah, even Liverpool was full of apparitions and time slips and glitches in the Matrix and a bunch of other things. And I only really saw just weird ass people, which is normal for any big ass city now, isn't it? So. Yeah, ghosts. I have my own understanding theory or whatever view of ghosts. I'm still digging into it, and I'm still kind of researching all of the nooks and crannies to it because anything and everything spiritual as I have come across so far, paranormal, supernatural, and unexplained, is not what you put it down to be. It is something quite it gets more complicated the more you look in it, and a lot of the time you hit a wall eventually of like, oh, okay, so if I realize that this is how reincarnation, souls, or spirits work, or energy works, right, then how does this other thing work that everyone either experiences or understands? And ghosts is kind of becoming one of those topics for me, because I've been processing how to talk about it for a while now. And what I've realized is that there's different types of ghosts, and ghosts are complicated as fuck. They're very complicated. There's so many different types, and they're not necessarily. I don't know. I guess we don't necessarily have like a whole tied down version of how ghosts are or what they are. We all have a lot of theories, and we all have a lot of speculation and other things. Some of them are quite right. Some of them leave room for questioning, wondering, and research, right? And with ghosts, although there's many different versions of them, there's also a lot of like new info details or just curiosities and questions coming about because of how varied experiences are, how many there are, right? How many places there are that have ghostly or paranormal activity, how people go around investigating them, how that has transitioned now since the up in technology and history in general, like going where it's going. And I think a lot of like one example, I guess I would say is Poltergeist, right? A lot of people thought that it was a malevolent spirit that just throws shit around and doesn't give a hoot or a damn or whatever. And now over the last, I don't know, I guess I would say like maybe if it's not the 25 years that have been around since, 2000s, it could be the last 15 years. People have started talking about how poltergeist could be also a personal manifestation of one's many emotions, many intense emotions that then pile up or manifest out of subconscious desire, need, or issues. And usually it's tied to high levels of stress, anxiety, trauma, depression, sadness, whatever it is. But it is so intense, the internal state of that person, that they start exhibiting or externally manifesting poltergeist activity, and that's what they actually experience. It's not some malevolent force, it's not some other soul, it's actually, or a piece of a soul. It's actually them. And that's been a huge revelation for a lot of people because it's brought so many answers to ghost phenomena and also clearings and cleansings and how they work, and in general how energy works when it comes to ghost attaching to you or ghost activity or whatever poltergeist stuff, and clearing and cleansing that, and how that attachment works in relation to people. And it's quite interesting. I think it's one of the biggest keys for anyone that wants to improve their life, or clear and cleanse their house, or sort out whatever haunting or attachment they might have. I think it's such a great discovery and realization of like, oh, so it doesn't have to be a passed off, past whatever person, right, that is haunting me. It can be kind of like me haunting myself accidentally, or having energy just manifests externally from you in such a direct and deliberate way. Um, ghosts are many. There's different ghosts. There's not just poltergeist. There's, you know, all different types of ghosts, and most of the time they are an aspect of a soul that is left behind or that is stuck in their incarnation. A lot of the time it is kind of a case of like, if you're looking at higher selves and lower selves, it's the lower self aspect that gets stuck and then can't come back to the higher self. It can't recycle. It can't go to the reincarnation cycle or even just past the dying cycle. It's just stuck in the in between limbo stage of, I guess, deterioration or de I'm trying to freaking remember complicated words and I don't think I need them. But basically, when you need to let go and pass down and whatever and cross over and realize that this world isn't the only thing you have, this is not the only thing that you are, it's not what defines you. Nothing here is as important as you crossing over and going to spirit, going to the afterlife as it is, whatever that is for you. If you can't accept that, you get stuck. And you don't necessarily get stuck always at a certain place. You get stuck in many different places. Um, in general, that space where all of the spirits linger is quite peculiar and vast, and it can go and cross over to void spaces. It can have weird dips and portals that go, or vortexes that go in between or just beyond or just before certain other dimensions and places and realms. And you could say a part of it is limbo, a part of it is just dark spaces of the 4D for anyone that's a spiritualist there. But I don't think there's something as definite as that. I don't think we can necessarily like put it down to be this specific thing yet. Maybe someone's figured it out. If you have, feel free to share with all of us what your understanding or realization of it is. But from what I've noticed, there can be many different reiterations or manifestations of where ghosts go or what ghosts do or how they experience themselves. The only thing that we really see, right, from this place is whatever spaces they were connected to, maybe places, maybe people, having a cord to that being, but that being is in their own place in space. Yeah, they can meet other beings as well, which could be anything. It could be other ghosts, it can be other beings like angels or demons or aliens even, and they do. notice them, they feel them. But one interesting thing I've figured out or realized, and this hasn't been too long ago, this has been like in the summer, is that ghosts don't see shit completely at all the same as how we see it when they're even in the same space in the afterlife. Like they can't read from there. They can't see even how many fingers we're holding up, which is interesting. I mean, maybe if you energetically, astrally do it properly enough and then really try and show them it, maybe they can see it. I haven't seen a spiritualist try it yet. In a good enough way, but I have seen people try and bridge certain gaps of communication or have ghosts relay facts, and they're really incapable of doing it. Some are, but I've noticed that if they can, they're either quite spiritually advanced or they're quite old. They've been dead for a while. And it's interesting how they are literally kind of in this weird energetical space that definitely isn't like our world. I wonder if it is just the 4D or if it's a mix of 4D with branches of all of these different other places that and other doors that they could open up. And yeah, it could be sometimes that it's not just an aspect of your soul or a very lower self that's stuck in the ghost world or can't pass on and is attached to their experience, but it could be actually, I guess you could say that it could be more of a conscious aspect of you, but the higher self is so big and it's so vast, right? Unless there's a huge impact of a part of you being lost somewhere, you aren't necessarily going to have that reconnect or whatever. And in general, we're all disconnected from our higher selves until we start doing the work of reconnecting, right? And it is practice, it is learned, it is something that you focus on and you grow. If you're dead and you're resenting everything, or even if you're confused about all of it, or you don't like the choice that is given to you of like, you need to pass on because this is done, you are severing that connection anyway. There's you would guess or hope like, hey, why doesn't the higher self try and gain or gather or get that like part of it back to itself? But I guess it's like in the vastness of all that it's happening or having experienced, um, having a lower aspect going through its own experience of being in the afterlife, but not completely passed over in other dimensions and stuck in between of worlds, right, of the afterlife and this physical realm, it's kind of coming down to free will at the same time. So even if you don't know that you're not choosing to pass over, or that's what's happening, or that this is bad, or that this is going to cause you to be in this state of constant velocity and flux in these emotions, or this experience of Earth, right? You are still going to then just have to leave it or let it be, and it's more going to then be resolved by whatever collective consciousness and where it's happening. So, I guess an example of that would be, I don't know, angels or beings or aliens or whoever, ancestors traveling around and them finding a ghost and being like, okay, we can actually liberate you somehow or figure out how to do that. And they try and do it in energy, or they have actual physical people show up and they have those physical people have an investigation, maybe a clearing or cleansing. Maybe it's, just a priest having a walk, and that priest is quite elevated or quite conscious, right? And maybe their energy is quite vibrant and their aura is quite strong, and they can naturally move whatever denseness that ghost has and help it pass over or cross over and go over to the other side. I've seen a really nice thing that I didn't even think was real. A few years ago, when I started delving into paranormal investigations quite a lot, and trying to find the good people that do it that aren't playing it up or other things, that they actually treat ghosts as something conscious and human, and they also besides taking spiritual precautions and, either using crystals or certain symbols or certain tools for protection, they might have sage or Palo Santo or other things, essential oils, other things like that. And maybe they even use prayer, right? And they respect the ghost. They don't play with it as an inanimate object. They don't try and agitate it. They more so try to connect with it while respecting each other's boundaries. And usually they try and help it pass on by saying, "You are free to go. As I leave." For example, this is one version. I know there's plenty others, but as I leave the door open for you to go into the light, to the white light, find hope and peace, and cross over, and you are free to let go of this experience and find closure and pass on. You can say it, in just one quick sentence. You can brag on about it like I just did. You can say a lot of different things, but whatever resonates with you as the point of the same thing is going to help the ghost move energy of whatever they're stuck on or dense on. They're going to also have clear awareness and conscious communication that this is what's happening, this is where you are, and this is what you need to do if you want to cross over. Some of them don't want to do it. Some of them just eventually are like, whatever, it's fine. I'm fine. Now that you showed me it, as especially like I'll do it when I'm ready. And sadly, I don't think it's very much an option a lot of the time. Like if someone's opening a door for you, you should take it. And if you know in your, I don't know, ethereal ghostly bones that you can do it yourself somehow at some point, I guess you can risk it. But from what I've gathered, there's a certain period of time where you can be a ghost without the restriction of being stuck here or overly attached. So you can go through that time. What you do is usually you go visit loved ones. You go overlook the most important things that you've impacted or done. You go to the places you're going to miss the most, and you just reflect on the point that now the world doesn't have you, and you basically, over that closure and acceptance period, decide to let it go, decide to move on, and you go to the other stages of reincarnation. And if during this whole stage, or even just from the very beginning of it, you're like, this isn't happening, or I'm confused, I don't know what's happening, you aren't looking around or questioning anything, right? You are just stubbornly digging into fear, angst, resentment, pain, other things, right? You are going to then literally just be stuck without anyone even being able to cross you over in spirit form. Like sometimes they can, but not always, because it's kind of like having tunnel vision. It's almost like when you see red, you're so angry and no one can snap you out of it and you black the fuck out. That's it. You're blacked out. And then you wake up and no one's around and you can't do anything, or you kind of just stay in that agitated, irritated state, and you're stuck. You're living a life like that. Now the thing is, I'm still figuring out the whole balance between how consciousness spreads apart with all of that, or how it relates to certain higher selves and souls and everything else. We all get how more or less the collective experiences goes, right? And the many weird details about that. But yeah, I guess maybe I'll come back with the part two to talk about that more when I have more understanding. And yeah, more knowledge, because I've just recently gotten way more questions about it than answers, honestly. I thought I had more answers than I do. But there is one detail of ghosts basically being this part of the soul or whatever that then starts dying and decaying and deteriorating, and then consciousness and awareness and light escapes them. They are eventually just kind of like loose bits of energy that become their own being or thing, or I guess you could say even mutation in a way, right? And even if you're a well-mannered, good ghost or whatever, then you would be like a, I guess, a specter or energy loop or just a like well-natured sentry that looks out for others on whatever you've experienced or the trauma you've had, right? So the ghosts that always show up and help out and do whatever they can to be like a signal to people on certain stretches of road to slow down or to not cross over certain bridges because they might collapse into deadly waters or whatever it is. They just repeat that loop over and over again, and they don't necessarily interact with people very consciously, but they do try and actually like keep beings away from doing the same mistake. They are sometimes at the beginning conscious and then eventually it just leaves them. But sometimes it's also a case of like as a being, sorry, I just heard a tap on my window and it made me uneasy. I kind of had a feeling I wasn't gonna feel completely comfortable talking about ghosts. But moving on, it's okay. Yeah, I live on the ninth floor, so there's no damn tapping that's gonna happen in October, and it could be, I guess, a bug splatting into my freaking window. But anyway, it's nighttime, so the thing is, like, sometimes beings do stay around and do certain things, whatever they can, before they get closure, and then they move on. So maybe they actually enact some type of revenge on the person that's killed them. They save some people, they're happy with that, then they move on. They have someone actually see them as a very significant, strong manifestation, right? Either whatever it is, actually. Well, there's many manifestations. We know how goats manifest, but they have a conversation directly and then they realize that they can let go and they can just pass on. But usually they want revenge from what I've noticed, or they just want to finish off business. And until they do that, they're doing other things that they've already done in their life or they were used to doing before, they completely like cross over. There's also echoes of human spirits or certain experiences and other things that have happened. So echoes aren't really ghosts, but we do experience them as ghosts. Echoes are basically kind of like energy just replaying whatever has happened that was very heavily charged, that was very traumatic, intense, or otherwise just big. It's basically whatever has happened is being left in that space in that place until it's kind of gonna just die off or leave the earth. And sometimes it doesn't for a long while because people that experience that thing feed into it and make it even bigger and worse. And then it can gain even a consciousness of its own, which, better not to do that because then anything can happen. But spirits and souls still cross over most of the time. It is rare that they are looping so bad that they gotta stay with that I guess energy like copy or whatever loop it is, but they themselves usually cross over. If they don't, they loop with it until it's just dissipated, but that place or that space stays until it's done. Yeah, as I said. And there's also a case of ghosts turning completely rotten, completely dead, and they become more or less kind of soulless, you could say, because the energy just decays and becomes, I don't know, you could say like overly dense. I would use different words, but I know that they're not quite right. It's me like portraying it in my own head, however it makes sense to me the most. Um, Energy doesn't like you can't necessarily label energy as just dead or decaying or dying. It's always like, changing and transforming or just is. And if it's not here, then it is going somewhere else and doing something else, right? That's just physics. But ghosts can actually become soulless and even sometimes I needed that break, but I also find it funny that my headset cut out on the point that I was saying demonic. But yeah, they literally become like shadowy people that then just transition to demonic people. And it can be anyone. It doesn't matter how well-natured they are, who they've been, what happened. Like it really doesn't matter. If they're so angry, upset, attached, or otherwise, um, and they aren't passing over, they're not working with how they need to cross over or do something, then they do become a malevolent force that can grow out of control. And there's really old ghosts that have come from horrible backgrounds that have become that. Um, and some of them were once human, and now they're not as much human. Um, they're quite something else. I just had a download, but I'm hearing we're gonna get to that download at some other point. I remembered what the download is. I just got another image of like how ghosts go from my guide team, so that's going to be an interesting little bit of detail and knowledge. But a thing I wanted to say, now we're disagreeing on where I'm gonna go with my thoughts. Okay, we're gonna just talk about the other thing real quickly, and then I'm gonna move on to whatever I wanted to talk on because I forgot it. Ghosts literally can also apparently be in this state of learning, which I didn't even think about or know, but they're telling me that ghosts, because they have so much issue actually crossing over, and they just want to, like they want to, they understand the importance of it and how they need to do it, and it's just natural and it's the cycle of life, but they can't. They try for all they can, but they can't, for many different reasons. They might be in ghost form learning how to navigate that world and how to still evolve or grow or let go and come back to spirit, and they might have guides along the way, which kind of cool, interesting. And if anything, they might also at any point take longer throughout the whole entire process. Some of them might actually have some work to do that is needed, which is also interesting. So ghosts, and the way I'm seeing it is ghost can go from one place to another, and it's not via just people or items or vehicles or whatever. There's actually like vortexes and portals, and they use them. There's you could say like 40 whatever highways or that other world highway system that they can just travel around, and they can go from one haunted estate to another haunted estate and show up wherever they want or please sometimes. And the thing is, they actually, if they're actually working with higher forces to try and get over their issues and cross over and go on, they might actually, sorry, that was normal, but anyway, they might actually have some work to do in terms of like working with people in protecting certain spaces that are haunted. They might work in staying in certain places to repel negative forces or to lighten dense areas that are so filled with nonsense that they are like balancing it all out. And in this space, they do still hold light. They do still hold of like have a hold of their soul. They're just observing as well the other side of it and understanding from a different perspective in a deeper way how to go over their issues and how to not become what they are basically keeping away or deterring. They usually have conversations or contacts not just with like people if they can, but astral beings like people's either guides, their own guides, because they still have a connection to them at that point. A lot of the time, it's also angels, and sometimes I guess it's ETs, but not really unless there's, I don't know, an interest. Not even a rhyme or reason. It's literally an interest. If they're not interested, they don't have the conversation. But yeah. They try and help certain places, haunted or otherwise, maintain a certain level of energy that is healthy and good, and so they grow and transition when they're ready. and learn as much as they can. And usually they don't become ghosts ever again after that. Like that's kind of like winning a lottery in a way, but also kind of having an experience where you might not be the most happiest about it. Because obviously you're a ghost and stuck for a while, but then you learn so much about it or the experience that you just, okay, I'm not gonna have that no more. It's not fun. I don't like it. So ghosts can attach to people, places. They can attach to their own items of some sort, right? And they can attach to experiences as well that they've had, or just loop on the same stuff, right? They can be either very pure or they can be very rotten. Overall, they usually decay over time, even if they're well-natured, and they can only really keep up good faith for so long until they deteriorate and either go away or become something else that roams the planet until it's done and then dies or goes into other realms and dimensions. Kind of like transcending, but in a different way, or ascending in a different way. And if you are having issues with ghosts, the thing that you need to know is they do like it if they're good people, they might just have fun with you and have communication and talk and laugh and but they might, you know, play pranks on you if they're that type of energy or person, but it really does depend. If they feel fond of you or connect with you as a friend, apparently they might like try and grab your attention by like, you know, grabbing your hand and it hurts, but they're not actually harmful or demonic. They can even like scratch you, but that's only if they know or understand you aren't gonna take it negatively. Sometimes it is a triad, like, hey, let's bridge the gap and talk and whatever, and you're trying to ignore them. I'm not saying like give into it and talk about it, but sometimes, like, if you're experiencing really gnarly shit, it's just literally ghosts trying to do what they can to express themselves and cross over or communicate to you, but they're not necessarily actually malevolent or bad. Even like me, I've seen guides as shadows all across my freaking house. I've had friends on video call say they're seeing shadows in my hallways, and those are my guides. Some of them are complete angels, literally angels, angelics, and they manifest as shadow people. If I see even like one of my angel guides sitting on the bed, I see a freaking shadowy, big ass, bulking figure on my bed, but they're not shadow people. They're not bad ghosts, malevolent demons of some sort, or whatever other shit, right? They're just who they are, and because the only way we can really register it is by seeing it in certain ways, like it seems like this one thing, but even even not great spirits can appear like white wisps or energy or have halos on their heads. They're not actual angelic halos. There's a difference, but you will see them all the same. And some beings do masquerade as something nicer than they actually are. A very popular understanding is that demons will appear as kids, actual kids. Even when you're doing investigations, right? You will encounter kids, and the way you know if it's an actual kid is they're actually gonna try and communicate and connect to you. Even if they're scared, you will see characteristics of an actual scared kid, and you will understand that this has a deep like consciousness or volume to it as a spirit that is a kid, and it isn't looping, trying to draw energy from you, never giving you answers, always tricking you or agitating you, or in general like acting like a victim, but there's no rhyme or reason for it. There's no understanding of like their character personality. There's no definition. They're just acting like the energy of a kid, but there's nothing real with it. There's no tangible conversations, there's no answers, there's no back and forth. There's only like a leading and a taking energy or a portrayal energy of like, look at me, give me attention. So, yeah, lower your guard type of the thing, right? But you can tune in and understand, or even just rationally, if you're doing an investigation, understand like, yeah, okay, this is fucking not a kid. This is not a kid. And even if you know that the place has history of dead kids, don't play into it. Like it can be anything. Treat it like a stranger. Treat it as much as like a stranger. Be cautious. Doesn't matter even if it's a good energy. Sometimes light or good energy can be of intentions that are less than pure. Um, so yeah, it's something to kind of be careful about if you're having issues about it. I know I went through a whirlwind of things. Today is just one of those episodes, and whatever. Um, know that ghosts and any other energy, regardless of what it is, people, demons, angels, anything, like attracts like. So if you have some type of fear or denseness or other stuff, right? That energy is already going through whirlwinds of that. And a lot of the time, ghosts need energy. They'll take it where they can to keep going. And sometimes they will retreat to try and, like, I don't know, kind of recuperate in some way and battery up. Um, but there is a thing of like they will attach to you because of your own self-understanding or your own belief of how either the world works, ghosts work, or you being disempowered, or you being in fear, you being sad, you being in places of not being in charge, right? Not trusting yourself, not being confident. They will play up on that, they will play into that. And they can attach through that. If you have similarities with the ghosts or any other entity, that is also going to be a thing that creates resonance, and so that can help them follow you, attach to you, do whatever they need or want. At the end of the day, we're all sovereign, we have free will, we are free beings, and you can tell it to go away. You can say that it doesn't have permission to connect to you or attach to you, to your energy. A lot of paranormal investigators do that are real at least or believe in it, say that you are not allowed to follow me. And even if they like the ghost, a lot of the time they say you are not allowed to follow me because it's better to be safe than to be in danger, or to, risk having a friend and that friend is not a damn friend and you don't know what to do by the end of like year two or even, half a year, month. It isn't something to be joked around or taken lightly because as people can be unpredictable in different circumstances, the nicest person can turn out to be the most violent if pushed to their limits and if they're under certain circumstances of that, right? Same as with ghosts. Don't make friends with him. Doesn't matter if that's a kid or otherwise. You can connect and communicate and talk and chat and show them love if you want to, help them pass on, uh, learn about who they are or how they are. But ultimately, it's better to take precautions, take protection into account. Don't give them permission to attach to your energy or use it at all unless you're very mindful and aware of what you're doing. And even then, consider it 5 times before you do it. And understand that they can't go over your boundaries, they can't go over your permission. You are with the body, so you have impact and input and ultimate call or say in this world. Yeah, we feel out of control a lot of the times, but when we actually get in the driver's seat and accept the point that we have impact and we can say whatever we want and do what is right by us and then draw boundaries between people as well as ghosts or other beings, they need to respect that because while they're stuck in between of worlds, we have the sovereignty and free will of being down here and being a player in the game, as you could say, and having relevance, having an impact, being the one that calls the shots. And in general, in terms of like being on Earth as a spiritual being, if you're incarnate, you're stronger than the other ones that are excarnate because you need that grounding or that not necessarily vessel. It's kind of like literally having that manifestation, that grounding of meaning and purpose of being here, of being alive, of being born here, of having like literally meaning behind it, and I guess a grounding or denseness behind it, right? Whereas other beings outside of this world are just energy. And to us, we can navigate energy however we want. We can determine it, talk to it, whatever, in relation to us, not the whole world or other people, but to us. We can describe it or define it however we need or see fit for our joy, for our desires, wants, or needs. And so, if you believe that you are in charge of your own well being, that you have power over all, whether it be a demon or God or otherwise, you can ask those ghosts out. You can tell them to not attach. You can get them out of your home or your house. If you don't believe any of that, you won't be able to. Um, which, that's how the biggest lesson of life comes in of like actually trusting yourself and working with that and working up to the courage of it. And it might take a while for some people, depending on where you're living or what experiences you're having or what attachment you've had for how long. If it's a childhood one, those are actually the most difficult ones from what I've gathered. Those are the hardest to do, but you can still do it if you try. It just might take more time than the usual, spiritualist like me that has done a lot of cleansing, a lot of rituals and ceremonies. I've been practicing this for 8 years at least, actually more you could say, because manifestation and mindfulness I've been practicing since I was 13. Even if you don't believe spirituality and you're not religious or faithful, but you have these experiences and you're super mindful, you have the power. Doesn't matter. You don't need to believe this to have the power. You don't need to believe this for it to be real, right? And accidentally, you could actually help a friend, even if they believe it and you don't. You go to their house and they're losing their shit, and you're like, I guess I'll just try and be supportive and give you confidence and, establish authority. And you can actually help them get something out of their house, which you don't even believe in, which is kind of really cool, honestly. So, mental health really matters because the more you believe or antagonize yourself or just believe in the pain and maybe keep yourself in it or have difficulties in like taking yourself out of these states of huge just I guess like distortion and disconnection, right? And disease, the harder it's gonna be. But yet again, that's the part that they attach to. It's kind of like an opening. If you have fear, if you have a belief of like abuse, trauma, of a survival life where you are disempowered, you're at the whims of other people or beings or otherwise, or that this can do whatever it wants to you because it's invisible and you are physical and you have no fucking clue what this is, then it'll be doing that until you learn that that's not how it works. You actually have more power, even if you don't know anything. You just need to know that you can try and believe in it in the moment when you're saying those words. And even if you don't believe wholly, that's enough for your subconscious to start shifting of like, let's try this out. Can I actually do this? And if you can't get there, if you can't do it of your own volition, of like, these are my boundaries, you have no permission, you have no like right to attach to me, you can't take my energy, you can't do this. I am, you know, like I believe in my authority and I know my shit here, like go away. Then you can ask higher realms and, Mother Mary, God, Jesus, angels to help you with this. Even aliens, if you believe in aliens. Um, if you're from some type of background of like, I don't know, Navajo or other stuff, right? You might know other beings that might help you. Whether they're dark or light, it doesn't matter. You might know who to ask for help. And even if you don't believe in those beings, especially the higher realm ones like Mother Mary and Jesus and God, they don't care if you believe in them. They they're just here to help. They're just here to be. They have a lot of also power from the collective behind them because a lot of people believe in them and have positive affirmations and deep personal prayers and just love, right? So it all crosses over in a way where it really is a powerful symbol for anyone to use, even if you don't believe it, especially also because of our history, how it's charged. You don't need to be in their good graces even. You just need to believe that you're like if you have a lot of issues with being a person that feels like they deserve unconditional love, like that might come into an issue sometimes. But even then, if you're not aware of how big of an issue that could be, or don't have it as a big issue, then you can literally just be freely praying, asking for help, um, and they will show up because I mean, I can make some jokes here, which is like they don't have anything else better to do, which that's not it, but or they're so elder like that it's kind of like grandparents who are like, I'm gonna help the family. Like I can do it, I'll do it. They don't judge. They don't care if you want help, if you need help, if you're God willing, desperate to just be secure and safe or have any support and you're experiencing some real bad traumatizing things, accept their help, say, I really need help. I'm calling you in. I really, really need your help. I accept it wholeheartedly with all of my soul, and I give you all of the right you need to do whatever you want to take care of this. Do whatever you need. Do all of it, everything. I don't care. I let go. I let go. I let go of control. I surrender to peace. I want help. I need help desperately. They will come in. But you need to give them the right to do that. You need to be open to it and accept it. You need to accept their love, basically. Because if you ask them for help and then you're like, it's not gonna happen. Because they can't go against your power. They can't go against your free will. Just like everything else can't go against your power and your free will, right? So comes back to confidence and belief and other things. And even when we don't go into all of this weird woo-woo stuff, it still works this way. It just is. And one of the things is like, when you see, let's say, a demon in your room, you're going to believe in that demon way worse and way more than Mother Mary or Jesus or God coming down to actually help you take care of this. And it might be because of many reasons or hangups. It could be just because you, I don't know, resented them for some weird religious upbringing, and it's like a whole subconscious fucking lock there that you need to get over. Or personally, like maybe you feel like you don't deserve it, right? Feeling like you don't have power and you can't change something is one thing, and then giving it over to a higher power that you know can take care of it if it's real or not, that's a different thing. It doesn't matter. But all of the other things of like they don't exist, this demon exists, right? Other things like that, it's gonna play into it. So yeah, getting into spiritual practices is also always good. Having like protection, in whatever shape and form you believe in it, either symbols or sigils or rocks or I don't know, holy water, which you can make yourself, is one thing. I just also remembered a thing that really helped me when I was fighting a demon for hours. Um, and I like being non-biased in the middle of things, and it wasn't a great experience. I know that it was more of a test and a way of me learning a lot of things for myself, but I was doing a lot of stuff for hours to try and keep this energy at bay that was just fucking with me. And the things that really helped, and I knew since I was a kid, although I didn't believe in it as I was a kid or teenager, I knew that saying like I accept Lord Jesus as my Lord and Savior, or accept Jesus into my heart would always work. I don't know why. I just knew like accept Jesus into your heart and it's gonna work, and I don't know why. Um, I guess now it's a case of like you literally invite that energy that's super benevolent and loving to just come in and protect your heart and to enforce it however they can. But also, even if they don't do it, because sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't do it, is kind of the point of like, oh, you believe in your holiness to the extent that you can take on such an energy as Jesus. Or you believe in your sovereignty and freedom or divinity, whatever it is, so much so that you're accepting it into your heart. You're accepting your own love and light into your own heart. It's not just Jesus. It's not Jesus. Sometimes he literally is just standing back and like, you do you. But you initiate that energy within yourself and it grows and it develops and it finds an anchor where you didn't have one previously. So if you're in that desperate of a state, say all of the freaking, last resort things like screaming to God for help and saying how you love him or other things, or like maybe if you don't, just saying like I need you, and other things, whatever comes to mind, because every soul has a different relation to it. Mother Mary, Jesus, or yeah, finding your own power for it. And if you've moved into a haunted place, that might be tougher or more hard, but you can figure out like where the energy is attached, how to get it out. You can trap it in a crystal. You can spray some holy water. Salt barriers are really good as well. You can have one around your bed if you're having a lot of issues with like sleep paralysis and other things. I would also recommend having like two. So you have one around your bed as an actual circle, and that would be like the second level if you're really like having super bad times. And then you can have one around your room. One around your room or out like inside of your room, just like by the walls everywhere, and it connects. There's no gaps in it. That would should be enough. If you still have sleep paralysis after that, have another one around your bed. Worst case scenario, it should work. Um, Finding whatever faith you have is really going to be the answer here, though, because even if you get into like saging, clearing, cleansing, prayer, maybe you get a witch to come over, right? And it's like that being is really having its teeth sunk in. It's gonna possibly take some time. Most of the time, it depends off of you, because it's probably feeding off of you, even if it's attached to the house or whatever. Like we have the power to do whatever we want as we are down here. Cleanse, clear away anything. If it's your own house and you didn't move into a haunted house, then you have ultimate power and you can change it however you want. Maybe you bought a house and it's now your house, but it was like, someone else's. It's a transition until like you, I guess, get out or you like, I don't know, really focus on moving one energy out and moving your own energy in and strengthening that out and knowing that that is like your right and legal obligation and contractual like agreement, then yet again it's gonna be hard, but we're all figuring this out because this knowledge has kind of been lost on us for such a long time. Even as spiritualists or witches, as we've been doing this for so long, I think we figure out through personal experience, right, what this entails or how this really works. But then there's always weird, random situations. There's weird, random versions of the same thing. There's weird, random occurrences of all of it. So we can't necessarily have an answer that's the same for every and all of the times. Otherwise, this shit would be way too easy and we wouldn't see as many hauntings. Yes, exorcisms really work. Cleansing and blessing places really works. Witches or spiritualists doing that really works. People even learning and taking it up But as a army man has told me, and whatever cut off doesn't matter, but honestly, as a army man has told us, as many, um, and this is an army man that does clearings and cleansings with their wives, like wife, and also just in general, like whatever collective now they have around it, community vibe they have around it. But they're the ones that started it, and they do it for a army base somewhere. I can't exactly remember the details, but you can find that story through wartime stories. It's not the only place you will find that story. There's many iterations of it, but as an army person has started doing it and let all of us know is a lot of the time it's not necessarily just clearing or cleansing the spaces, although saying that it isn't there, right? Whatever you're cleansing or that malevolence or even evil doesn't exist, like that not being really a good term or fact to say, it still always comes back to the person. So if they're agitated, if they're in disrepair, if they're guilty or in shame, if they're in disease or this, whatever like depression, mental health thing they have, whatever self-confidence or lack of peace internally that they have, that's the real thing that they work with. That's the real anchor to these experiences. This is the real thing that really leads to these things. And that's what they usually work with when they're doing cleansing seances. And they weren't always doing it. They had to start it because of a base basically being freaking haunted. And a lot of people mentioning it for um, other people like, hey, do you have these experiences in your house? Because I have those experiences in my house, and they're like either on a base or in a certain location where army people are housed with their families, right? And to work through that, they started doing cleansings. And what they found out is it really depends off of the person living there. If they have problems, those problems are going to get attached to by these entities. If they don't, you can whisk them away and kick them out like that. You can swat them away like a freaking fly. And I personally can say this too, like unless I'm out and about somewhere and randomly I start seeing a fucking ghost that doesn't do anything but is super fucking creepy, um, I will in my home or in other places be mindful of just like not even interacting with them. As soon as I see a ghost or feel a presence and it's not a guide or otherwise something nice, I throw it through a portal or I say, get the fuck out unless you want trouble. And I fucking mean it. A lot of the time, they get out, and sometimes they don't, and they start trying to scare me. And I in my mind's eye, I see um, basically like them in front of me, and they're looking bad. I literally grab them by their scruff of the neck and I throw them through a portal. I open it up and I'm like, go into the void space, go into the land of the dead. I don't care. Go into hell for all I care. But you're not gonna do this. You had a chance to leave my home and now you're not. And this is my domain. These are my rules. I'm not gonna be nice to you or be a victim to your bullshit. I'm just gonna get you out of here. And it takes time to get to this place. But ultimately, you can stay detached and know that you're the one calling the shots because we have all incarnated here by divine rule and gracious laws that we are the ones that are navigating this earthly plane, energetically or otherwise. We're the ones in charge. We have a say, we have power and impact. The more you don't believe in that, the more that is, and the more you do believe in it, the more it is. And beyond that, you learn nuances and tiny details and telltale signs and techniques and practices that will help you along the way to do that. And there's many different ones: prayer, mantra, salt barriers, wands, tools, sage, Palo Santo candles, anything like that really helps. Don't get into Ouija boards. Fucking, that's one thing I just remembered. Don't get into Ouija boards. If you don't want shitty experiences of any sort, Don't get into them. If you want to encounter hauntings, go to a haunted location with proper ghost like hunting tools. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Go even to one that has a demon in it. I don't give a shit. But don't actually use one in your home or even in haunted locations because it can follow you from there. Or you might manifest something that's gonna be so fucking shit in that haunted like location that other people that are gonna go there are gonna get an attachment. And those attachments really fuck people's lives over. You can get chronic illness, chronic pain. You can get so many mental health issues that you eventually kill yourself. Like just if there's one thing I will say is don't use them. Go hunt demons and ghosts all you want. I think that's fine. Just find those places, right? Just don't really like fuck with it in your house and don't do those boards. You don't need them. They're a trap. They're basically a thirst trap, if anything. And it's not the one where it's kind of like, oh, if you're one of those thirsty like, beings or people that you're just gonna be like, oh, I'm fine with it. I'll just take it up. It's not even that type of thirst trap. It's not even for it's just a horrible thirst trap that is not freaking worth it, not in any single way. You're lucky if nothing has happened and you've used it or you've heard of someone using it or it just was inanimate, it was an object. It didn't actually open up a portal. It didn't actually spiritually do anything. You are lucky if that has happened. Don't fuck with it. Don't make other people fuck with it. Don't even joke about it. I know at some point it might actually change as an item, but we have so much shit with it and there's so much spiritual backlog with it and imprinting and just maneuvers with it, even from this world or the other world, that it's not really a tool that is good to use at all. But that's me having my last spiel about it. I guess this is the October spooky episode. I think I'm only gonna do once, like one every year on October, and it's going to be about monsters and ghosts and demons and dark places and weird experiences that are not fun. And just, I guess, me enlightening and whatever, illuminating the truth about all of these things from my either experiences or my understanding and research and whatever you can find through research that actually does work or you just figure out because you need to in the moment, like me. um oh yeah, obviously we know already that churches and priests are a good thing, but going to any type of like spiritual, ceremonial, ritualistic stuff that you feel is good and lightens you up and makes you feel good and jolly and doesn't drain you at all in any way. Um, those things are good precautions for anyone that needs either some protection or clearing or cleansing. So if you want like, something like that, yeah, do that. Get baptized even. That's kind of like a spell of protection and immunity to some things. If you don't want to, you don't need to. I'm not advocating it for any other reason except for spiritual benefits that it has that are free, or literally free. Going to Sunday Mass doesn't cost you anything except for gas money or maybe bus fare, right? So, yeah. Feel like I left out a bunch of things. Also, this episode has been all over the fucking place. I couldn't keep my mind straight for the life of me. Thank you for making it through a whole hour of this. I appreciate you for watching, and let me know if you have any ghost experiences, if you have any ways of how you've expelled ghosts or have helped them cross over and pass on. Um, I will leave whatever ghost stuff I have that is gonna be like more spiritual, maybe relates to passed down loved ones and other things for another episode that might be just a mini one. Maybe it's even this month as a part two, because I'm already over an hour. Maybe I'll even split this one up into two parts. I don't know. because I know I have like a huge glimpse of stuff that I want to talk about, and I feel like I was talking to nothing in this episode, or in nothing. Maybe I'm just gonna re-record this. I hope I don't, because that would be a whole hour that I need to. Yeah, no, I hope I can post this and this is good enough. I think it is, but yeah, I'm gonna talk more about Ghost for like maybe one more time before October's end. We also have Halloween or All Saints Day coming up for the 1st of November. That's a big celebration here in terms of like people actually going to visit graves and other things. And I've already spoken on it in another podcast, but I feel like it would be good again to talk about like this month or upcoming month and like discuss the deeper meaning of it, ancestors visiting like, graves, ceremonies behind that, what it means energetically, how it transpires, having premonitions of family death, other things like that, like meeting ghosts of grandparents or whatever, siblings and other things, having weird experiences with like glitching technology, all of it. Like I'm gonna delve into more of it in other episodes. I hope this one was still entertaining and you enjoyed it. Maybe you learned something from it, and it has maybe possibly even helped you with what you are going through and experiencing. When in doubt, choose peace, love, and light. Tune into your own sacred power and right of being here, and know that good divine forces are on your side. And if you're living somewhere and something is there not paying rent, you can get it out, even if it's not your home, even if you're renting it or you've just moved in. You can find peace. You can find your own power. And yeah, if you want to see more of me, you can go down into the link tree and click there because I do streams with live tarot readings, just chatting, and occasionally video games. Sometimes it's video games for half a year and then it's readings for the other half a year. I also do blessings and clearings as well, and they are meant, I guess, for people in the stream environment, but also it does cross over to people that claim that energy for themselves. So if you're interested in that, check me out there. And I think that's all. I also have a Discord. You can find it through my Twitch only, though, because I want a filter. I want a filter just in case I blow up, I guess, or, this gets circulated out, and then we just don't want trolls. There's protection on my Discord server from the trolls, but yeah, I just like having only one place you can get the link just in case you're not a person that is good for the space and you're not gonna connect. And we're gonna have like, yeah, only the people that are friends for it. So only the real hippie jazz people. But yeah, I think that's everything. I've yapped up enough of my time, your time, everyone's damn time. Um, Happy October, happy Halloween, happy spooky season, happy everything. Enjoy your paranormal investigations, your spiritual seances that don't include the spirit fucking board. And yeah, enjoy it while it lasts, because we have Christmas coming up and we only have like really 2 months where we can go balls to the walls about all of this creepy fucking deepy shit. Um, yeah, personally, I enjoy doing creepy stories on like repeat, as I've noticed. They're literally my new podcast. Check out Wartime Stories and Bedtime Stories if you want some real good stuff. But yeah, peace.